Here's a quick video to give you a course overview for Writing 205. What are we going to write this term? Well, we've got 4 projects that we're going to work on. Each one is a paper. The first one is going to be a summary, where we're going to learn how to accurately understand and write about what they say, our source material. The second paper is going to be a critique, and that's once you know well what someone else says, you're going to be able to say what you think about it, critique it. So does it make sense? Is there enough evidence? That's going to be the critique, and you can see that the critique will contain within it a summary. So all of our projects this year are going to build on the previous ones. Just like this one. The third paper is going to be an argument, and that's where you make a claim of your own, what you say. But in order to make that claim well, you have to account for what they say. That's the research. And finally, we're going to put all of them together in a research paper that's going to be the longest unit of the term. It's basically an argument on a bigger scale. So that's what we're going to write this term. How are we going to write these papers this term? I make 2 assumptions when I teach writing, and I want you to make the same assumptions about writing. The first one is that writing is a process. Now, this is not writing a grocery list or a text or a tweet, but when you're writing as a way of thinking about things, which is what we're doing in critical writing, it really requires that you, to do it well, that you go through the process of pre-writing. That's planning out what you're going to write. That involves outlining and preliminary research, drafting, revising, editing, and then publishing. We'll review that process quickly. You should have learned about it in the last writing course, Writing 120, but definitely we'll be working and using the writing process. The second assumption about writing is that you're going to write collaboratively. Again, for writing a grocery list, you don't need to collaborate or consult with anybody. But when you're writing to get at the best ideas, you want to work with others, talk with others, read others. So be prepared to work with your peers, with me, with the Writing Center, and we'll all work together to make our writing really fantastic. Why will we write this way, this term? Why bother with the writing process? Why bother with the collaborative aspect? Well, the real reason is we are really writing to think. We're writing to get to the truth about things, to the best answers for problems. So look at this little graphic. You can see that both of the images, both of the shadows are correct. If you look at that cylinder from one angle, you see a circle. If you look at the same exact cylinder from another angle, you see a square. Both are correct. This is why someone can look at Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump and see completely opposite pictures, even though they're looking at the exact same person at the exact same time. So we want to account for different points of view and really opposing points of view when we are writing. So that's why we're using the writing process and the collaborative writing process and the research. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So I have lupus. It's a chronic autoimmune disease. I've had it for going on 20 years now. And this is a disease that has been around for a long time. And from what I've read in many days gone by, it used to be that doctors would treat patients with lupus, or what they didn't identify, but what likely was lupus, by putting them in insane asylums. One of the symptoms is a certain kind of a seizure, and I did experience that. And people looked like lunatics. So knowing what they knew back then, they didn't know nearly as much as we know today. That was the best they could do. That was the best answer they came up with. And they did the best that they could to keep people safe, the patients and the people around them. Thankfully, we know a bit more, and the treatment for lupus looks a lot different today. I have been through all kinds of treatments, from medication to chemotherapy to surgery, and I'm doing great, thankfully. And this is a much better situation. We wouldn't judge the people in days gone by today's standards because they knew different things. So anyone in any situation does the best that they can by looking at all of the possibilities, weighing the evidence, and deciding what is the best course of action. And that course of action can change depending on what you know. So that's kind of what I'm talking about when we look at problems. Sometimes for the same problem, there are more than one right answer, but what we're looking to do is find the best answer for the situation at hand, given the time resources and money resources and other resources, what's the best we can do? And that's why we're writing in order to get to the best answers to solve the problems of our day. How is the course structured? I think knowing the course structure will help you to succeed. So you'll see on D2L that it's set up in weekly modules. And those modules are themselves grouped into units. So we have several units and they are differing lengths. Each week builds on the previous ones. So it'll be really difficult to kind of just skip out for a couple of weeks. It's going to be much easier for you and you're going to get a lot more out of this class if you just attend regularly, participate regularly. You probably will see that you don't see the entire semester though, because each week is going to open on D2L on the Thursday prior. So you can get a little bit of a peek ahead of time, but for the most part, I want us to all be on the same page about what we're discussing and not have people work too far ahead. The due dates are generally Tuesdays and Fridays at 11:59 p.m. That's for the readings, for the discussion boards, for all the assignments that you see. The only exceptions are the weeks of the peer reviews, which will have a peer review for Ps 2, 3, and 4, and the peer reviews will be due on Wednesday. Each week, starting in week 2, you're going to have a reading quiz that's due at 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday. You cannot make these up, and you'll have 5 minutes to complete the quiz from the time you open them up. So make sure you've done the reading ahead of time. The quizzes are not meant to trick you. They're very easy if you have done the readings well. And finally, each week, starting again in week 2, we're going to have a discussion board leader to help move the conversations on the discussion boards along. I'll provide some instructions for that, but make sure you sign up for a week to lead the discussion boards this week at some point. How will attendance be taken? So I can't see you. How am I going to tell if you're showing up? There's a couple different ways. So we're going to be interacting in a couple of different ways. The first is asynchronously. That means not at the same time. And that'll primarily happen on the discussion boards. So whether it's a discussion or a peer review, the discussion boards will be, you'll jump in, maybe you jump in on a Sunday night and someone else jumps in on a Monday morning, and it will be asynchronous. We will be there at different times, and that's fine. But I'm going to keep track of your attendance by seeing that you're somewhere in that discussion board. Research has shown, by the way, that students in online classes who contribute early in an assignments cycle do better. So for the discussion boards, don't wait till the last minute. Jump in as soon as you can. In addition, we're going to have some opportunities for synchronous interaction, and that'll happen on Zoom meetings. I'll provide the link, and we're all going to get into the same room together, the digital room, the virtual room, and we'll be able to chat with each other and talk with each other, and it'll be more like a regular classroom. You'll have 2 opportunities. They're either going to be Tuesdays at 1 p.m. or Wednesdays at 7 p.m. So hopefully you can make one of those 2 for the several times during the semester that this happens, because they are mandatory. For both kinds of interactions, please note that it is much better to complete your work on time, to post to the discussion board, to complete the peer review, to submit a draft, certainly to attend the Zoom meetings. Even if it's not your best work, get stuff done on time. It's going to make your life a heck of a lot easier. Submitting work late just doesn't work on an online class, so don't get into that habit. Don't even go down that road. If you determine that, this class really isn't for you, for whatever reason, just keep in mind these 2 dates, the university dates for the last day to drop and the last day to withdraw. If you decide that that is what you want to do, though, please make sure you talk to me first, because a lot of times students think they're doing a lot worse in a class than they actually are. So let's just keep talking to each other. Hopefully this is not an issue and everybody stays in the class, though. That's my goal. All right, so you're going to have questions. Here's some places to get some answers. First, email is the best way to reach me. I will respond to you within 24 hours in almost all cases if you email me during the week, and within 48 hours on the weekend. In addition, I have face-to-face office hours that you're welcome to come to, even though this is an online class. If you happen to be able to get there, those are listed there. If those times don't work for you, just email me and we'll try to set up something else. And then the online office hour is Thursdays 1 to 2. There's the link that is also on the D2L site. And again, if that time doesn't work for you and you'd like to make an online office hour appointment, just email me. And then finally, here's a list of some technical support. These people at the IT Help Desk and D2L and Distance Ed are wonderful. They are very helpful. They've seen it all. Don't hesitate to ask them questions. And again, this information is on the syllabus, it's on the website, and again, it's here. So hopefully that helps. So hopefully that is a quick overview. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.